What up? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On the channel, we love to talk about crowdfunding, and one of the most popular trends this past year, in my opinion, when it comes to the crowdfunding industry is subscription-based crowdfunding. Now, subscription-based crowdfunding, you tend to think of the platform Patreon. So today, I kind of want to go through a little bit of news, which is some of the unique statistics that are just boggling my mind when it comes to Patreon's usage in 2022, as well as some of the things I think you should be aware of if you're a creator in the audience, you want to explore another way to monetize your craft, to cash in on your passion. I think that Patreon is a great option. I have some great videos out there as well on YouTube on this subject. So I want to go through this in sort of my news style fashion with this video. Hope you enjoy it. Hope it opens up some ideas, some creative thoughts when it comes to this, and also that you get a little bit of tidbits and advice at the end of the video. So again, my name is Salvador Briggman, and thank you so much for watching me. And I hope that you've been enjoying some of my other videos on YouTube or the podcast which I have, which I publish on a weekly basis. Got a lot of great free articles as well on crowdcrux.com and tons of stuff out there. I'm actually putting a lot more content as well on my Instagram, which is crowdcrux.salvadorbriggman, I believe, if you want to search that up on Instagram. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Patreon and some of the stats from this past year when it comes to this subscription-based crowdfunding website. The first most mind-boggling statistic is that when it comes to Patreon, there are literally over 8 million monthly active patrons on Patreon. That is a heck of a lot of people that are supporting unique creators and people who are creating new artworks every single month on Patreon. Think about it. 8 million monthly active members. So if you are ever thinking about cashing on your passion, this is an incredibly fruitful marketplace to be a part of because there are so many people already that are supporting other creators out there and really a patron of the arts and a patron of their creations. On the flip side, Patreon is home to no less than 250,000 content creators on the actual website, and the average pledge that Patreon sets is $7 a month when it comes to this website. One of the, I think, really incredible statistic is the fact that Patreon creators have raked in at least 3.5 billion with a B since 2013, and that growth has been growing aggressively in the last couple of years. I've been trying to cover that on my blog, crowdcrux.com, as well as on this YouTube channel that I'm telling you, this is a massive major trend. And if you are a creator in the audience and you're creating something on an ongoing basis, for example, a podcaster, a YouTuber, a writer, a designer, someone who's doing artwork, really anything that you're creating, whether that's entertainment related or artistically related, or even education and information, this is a great way to build a membership community of people that are supporting you on a regular basis. Some other really quick stats here that I want to read out and then we can discuss more is that 38% of Patreon creators consider video as their primary medium. In addition, 50 to 30% of fans of Patreon video creators and musicians respectively come from YouTube. So a vast majority of people that are supporting Patreon campaigns actually are coming from YouTube. So if you have a YouTube channel, this is something that you should be listening to because keep in mind, most other people are already monetizing this way. Another really interesting statistic is the fact that only 11% of platform users, and this is according to Patreon, consider themselves to be a seasoned professional. And one other is that only 19% of Patreon creators based on Patreon says that they work with a team one way or another. So what you should take away from those stats is that number one, a ton of people who are doing Patreon campaigns, their subscribers are transitioning and becoming patrons of their work. So if you have a YouTube channel or even another similar medium, a podcast, something like that, you have a great channel already to be able to monetize your work, and Patreon is an easy choice. The second is that tons of other people are making money on Patreon, and they are not necessarily what you would call professionals, right? When it comes to their work. They're not necessarily considering themselves to be a seasoned professional. They're more of like an amateur, and they're either doing this as a hobby or trying to develop another income stream when it comes to them. And in addition, with Patreon, a lot of these people are individual creators. They're not necessarily having a team behind them, which I would define as more of a professional creator. However, I talk about this in my book when it comes to Patreon profits, the tricks for launching a successful Patreon campaign. You can actually build a mini team around your Patreon campaign in order to raise even more money and to have this be almost like a hands off the wheel kind of a scenario where it's really just you're turning on this thing and you're doing some marketing and then someone else is handling all the nitty gritty when it comes to Patreon. And again, I talk about that in my guide. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. Let's talk about a few more stats here. So one of the ones that I really want to point out, and again, the source here is Patreon itself. 41% of platform users' creative income comes from Patreon earnings. So literally 41% of their income is coming from Patreon itself. Another really great stat is that according to income-related patron stats, creators who promote their page daily make 75% more than monthly promoters. So I know that promotion and marketing is not something that a lot of people like to do. They don't like to sully their hands, right, in doing actual sales and marketing. But if you believe in what you're doing, if you think that it's something that people are going to enjoy, I really view it as like you owe it to yourself to really promote the heck out of this. And the stats show you exactly that. If you are willing to promote your campaign on a daily basis, you're making 75% more than if you're willing to promote it on just a monthly basis. So I actually did another video out there on Graphtreon, and there's some really great stats as well. And I've talked with the founder of that website as well multiple times, and he has some really great stats out there. So I want to quote a couple of different stats from that website. First of all, creators on Patreon actually generated over $3.5 billion in collective earnings to date. That is a huge amount. And this is actually the kicker, which is that if you actually want to stand out and you want to crack the top 1,000 creators on Patreon, at this moment, you should have more than 1,738 patrons. Think about that. If you want to be in the cream of the crop, the top 1,000 creators, you need at least 1,700 plus patrons to even qualify. What does that mean? So some people might hear that and they're like, you know what, Sal, that kind of sounds like I'm not even worth it, right? Because there are so many people that are supporting those creators. There's nowhere that I'm going to have that level of support. Well, think about it. If the cream of the crop, the top 1,000 creators have that many patrons, and there are 8 million, right? When it comes to the people that are supporting Patreon campaigns, think about how easy it is just to even get 100 or 500. There's literally something to me that just like, it shows that when people are earning income, when people are actually, gathering fans, when they're having patrons, that's not something to kind of shy away from or something to be like, oh, I can never do that. That shows demand. That shows that other people are seeing success. It shows that, like I said before, like 40% plus of people's income are literally coming from Patreon itself, and 30 to 50% are coming from YouTube. To me, that shows demand. That shows a growing market that you want to be a part of. I want to cover 2 more stats, and then we're going to get into some advice for those of you out there that actually want to take advantage of this and actually do want to launch a Patreon campaign. So the first stat that I want to mention is the fact that in the first 7 months of 2022, Patreon's combined monthly payouts surged by 7.34%. And this is based on Graphtreon. So who knows how high it can go in 2023, but it literally went through that massive surge in 2022. The other thing is that when it comes to the top creators on Patreon, and these are the top 10 creators that I'm going to be mentioning here, the top 10 creators are literally raking it in, okay? So when it comes to the top 10 creators, in August of 2022, the Tim Dillon Show is the one who had most incredible amount when it comes to that, earnings of 200,000 plus for the Tim Dillon Show, as well as some other incredible ones like Yard, Chapo Trap House, True Anon Podcast, The Last Podcast on the Left, tons of other great ones, and even some on the lower tiers, lower level earning patrons in the top 10 were earning $80,000 plus $8,850 per month. And this source is by Graphtreon, so you can look this up on your own time. So think about that. People are literally earning, $80K plus per month using Patreon as a way to monetize their craft, as a way to coalesce their fans, and to offer really interesting perks and rewards to their actual backers and patrons on this website. So if you ask me, it's a no-brainer, right? When you see other people seeing success, rather than kind of, like I said, almost being skeptical, which I think is a healthy emotion, or rather than just be like, oh, they can do it, but I can't do it. Be curious, right? Be curious about what they're actually doing. Be curious about why they're seeing success. And once you discover that other people are seeing success in a category, or you see that with this website, for example, with Patreon, other creators are raking it in. It's actually a big portion of their income. Why not begin to actually brainstorm, hey, what if for my own work, I decided to maybe even try this out? So if you're a podcaster, if you're a YouTuber, if you're creating anything on an ongoing basis, to me, this is a no-brainer to at least explore this for 2023. Because I'm telling you, man, this can become a massive source of your income and another supplementary income source when it comes to your creative work, your craft, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you can take all that funding and you can plow that back in into growing this, into making your work and going full-time ideally with that. Or if you're already full-time, building out a team, because that way you can actually produce even more. You can build an even bigger fan base. It can be the start of some really exciting times. Getting started is hard. And I'd be the first to admit that. And I think that going into any kind of new endeavor, you really got to start with education. And I've been trying to do that more on this YouTube channel. So first of all, go and check out some of the free videos I got out there on Patreon on this YouTube channel, as well as my blog, crowdcrux.com. For those of you that really are willing to study this, you want to study this craft, you want to know what works to get patrons, you want to know exactly how to launch this campaign, how to do it quickly, all the things that you need to really also rank well on Patreon, as well as some of the things that I talked about previously, building a team and really having this be almost automated, another portion of your business, and you're willing to invest in that. I got a great guide out there that you can check out down below, tricks for launching a Patreon campaign, where I actually went out there and I interviewed successful campaign creators, as well as sharing other marketing insights, tools, techniques, things that actually go into making this an incredibly successful experience for you if you're looking to actually launch a Patreon campaign, if you want to use subscription-based crowdfunding to your advantage and you want to have monthly recurring income as a result of doing this right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. I've been in this industry since 2012. And if you did like this video, give me a thumbs up and let me know. Leave a positive comment down below. Come subscribe to this channel if you want more content just like this. And hope that, if nothing else, that you at least have your brain turning, you have those engines turning in your mind, right? You have the wheels turning, you're starting to get ideas, starting to get excited, starting to get inspired, and you're gonna be taking action this year because other people are as well. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Salvador Briggman, and I will see you next time.